Hello and welcome back guys. In this video we are going to create some common code and utilities. So first, let's see if our code setup is working or not. Let's see if we are able to log something to the console maybe. This index.js file is our entry point, meaning that Webpack will start executing from this index.js. If we import any files here, they will be executed as well. So let's console.log working and see if our setup is working or not. Cool. Now let's go into a lib folder and create this memo2d.js file. This is basically going to help us keep track of which number has appeared in which row, column or sector. We are going to store a 2D map or map of maps and it'll help us keep track of this. You'll understand once we create the library. So we are going to export a default class called memo2d, and inside the class we are going to initialize the store to a new map. Now you might be wondering about two things at this point. The first thing is that you might be wondering how we are able to use this syntax that is not yet supported, and that is because of our Webpack Babel setup. And the other thing is we can simply use objects here instead of maps, but this is just to squeeze out a bit more performance as maps are faster than traditional objects. Cool. Now the first function is going to be setVal, and it is going to accept a row which can be the row, column or sector of the sudoku table, and column which will be the number between 1 and 9. It will also accept value which will be true if the number exists and false if it doesn't. This function will set the value at the given row and column and return true if it was successfully able to change the value to true. If it was already true, we will return false. So since this is a 2D map, we are first going to check if the internal map has been created or not. And this is the syntax. If it goes inside this if block, then the internal map already exists, otherwise it goes here. To set a value, we use this syntax. We are going to use this .store.set. The first argument we pass is the key and the second is the value. So the value here is the internal map. Since the internal map doesn't exist yet, we are creating a new one. And it can be initialized using this key value pair that can be passed using this array. And we return true as we are actually changing the value. Now let's go inside the if block. Here we check if the value that we are trying to set is true and the value that has already been set is true or not, and we return false at this point. Else we set the value and return true. Cool. The other function that we are going to create is called checkIfIn, and it will check if a number exists in a given row, column or sector. We accept a pause which will be the row, column or sector, and value which will be the number that we're trying to check. And we check the first dimension and second dimension of the map with pause and value, and if both are truthy, then the number has been set and we can return true, otherwise it will return false. This library will make more sense once we use it. The other thing that we are going to do is we are going to go inside this utils folder and create a utils.js file. We are going to export this const getSector which takes row and column and returns which sector or 3x3 subgrid it belongs to. I'm using this form of sector structure. Cool. Now let's quickly create this function. We have this for loop for the row. We will check with this if statement if we have reached the sector row wise. Then we check for the column and check if we have reached the sector column wise, and return the sector which we can get from this formula. If you have any doubts about this function, just run it with a couple of inputs and you'll see what it does. Alright, so that is it for this video. In the next video, we are going to get into the main implementation part. I hope to see you guys then. Bye.